We've all had a bizarre dream that we remember every detail of, but you may not know exactly how that dream went through your mind. So today, I'm here to tell you. Neurons are the main chemical part of how we make our dreams. Neurons create a chaotic electronic wave that goes on through the mind and creates this static that will then produce dreams. But the brain also has this state where it falls asleep. When you're falling asleep, the brain stops working. This is about 1.5 hours into falling asleep is when the brain stops working. And pawns stop us from moving our body except for our eyes. This is a part of sleep called rapid eye movement, or REM sleep. Our eyes move because they are trying to follow with the dreams and with our mind. One of the parts of the brain that stops is the prefrontal cortex. This is like the logical aspect of your brain. So everything that you do, homework and all that stuff, prefrontal cortex is always working. But when you're asleep in REM, it stops working. This is why your dreams are so bizarre all the times. And this is why people will relate to your dreams heavily, because your dreams are figures of imagination, but things that you have seen in your real life. So it's not random things, it's actual aspects that you've seen today or yesterday or maybe last week, and you're just now remembering them when you're sleeping. The emotional part of the brain is very active when you're asleep. This is why your dreams, this is why they're so bizarre, because your emotion is going all into your brain. And sometimes with some dreams, the more bizarre ones, the brain is even working in more emotional aspects than it is when you're awake. And that is crazy because the logical part is still asleep, and it's just causing your dreams to be crazy, and that's why you have those ones that you can remember. Why you can't remember them is because the logical part stops working. So when the logical part of the prefrontal cortex stops working, you can't remember exactly what happened in your dreams. That's why sometimes when you wake up, it's hard to remember them because they were there in the moment. But when you wake up, your brain can't remember them because it was off and not working, essentially. It's more of a fact than fiction, but eating certain foods can cause dreams to be strange. And some people may have realized this. It's meats and cheeses, supposedly, that cause the strangest ones, but foods do affect your brain and do affect how your dreams will play out. A little bit of history. A guy named Artemidorus was the first dream researcher, and he had his own book describing these foods, how they affect him, and how these dreams go through our minds, and he was a Greek philosopher. Another fun fact is that John Locke, one of the most influential people in history, said that dreams are irrational. He did not like them. He said that they were stupid and irrational and they had no point in our society. And he was like one of the smartest guys. He really influenced our government and influenced a lot of how we are today. But he didn't believe in dreams, obviously. But there's some research that dreams can actually make us more intelligent, because when you're asleep, you can be laying groundwork through something that you don't know. It's a hazy state, and when your logical part of your brain is off, you can test more theories without having logic to block it. And when you wake up, you might remember this and make a breakthrough and make an invention nobody ever knows because you imagine that in your brain. And even though logic wasn't there, you can put that logic into real life. Just picture it in your brain. There was actually a researcher who conducted a project of people who have memory loss and short-term memory loss, and he gave them certain foods that can make them dream, and when they woke up, they actually remembered their dreams, even though they have that mental disability of not being able to remember much. Thank you for listening to my speech. I hope I learned something.